Oh, hey guys. I'm not feeling too good today. I don't know if you want to get too close. I think I got that cold that's going around. That does get me thinking though. Whenever you get sick, it seems like there's always questions or comments that get thrown at you. Is it the flu? Did you go to the doctor? Oh, you should definitely take antibiotics. That looks like something my brother had. But what really is the difference between a virus and a bacteria? And when they make you sick, what's the difference between like a viral infection, like the flu, and a bacterial infection, like strep throat? Well, good thing you came to backyard biology. Let's find out. So let's first start out talking about viruses. This is a virus. When you first look at it, it almost looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. Viruses are non-living things, and they have two main components to their anatomy, the head and the tail region. The head is made out of a protein coat that protects and surrounds DNA or RNA. This is genetic material that contains the instructions to make new viruses. A virus's sole purpose is to introduce this genetic material into a living cell. There, it will use the cell to create thousands of copies of the virus. The tail region of the virus helps it attach to the host, and it will also help introduce that genetic material into the host cell. So, why do people get sick when a virus infects one of their cells? Well, see, because when a virus introduces its genetic information into the host, it completely hijacks all of those proteins and cell processes that are required to make new cells and new viruses. The virus doesn't have any of these things itself. So it has to use what's in our cells to make more copies of it. After the virus has made hundreds of copies of itself, these copies then need to leave the cell to find new ones to infect. They burst out of this cell and then start spreading throughout the body to find new cells. This is when you start feeling pretty lousy and begin to experience symptoms of the cold or flu. This is also when your immune system can start working to destroy these copies of the virus. But unfortunately, until all those hundreds of copies of viruses burst out of the original host cell, the immune system might not even know the body has been infected yet. This is usually why it takes so long to get over viral sicknesses. Because your immune system has a ton of viruses to deal with and destroy. Vaccines against viral infections help your immune system recognize that very first virus when it initially attaches to the host cell. That way, your white blood cells can destroy this virus before it even can infect the cell. So you'll never get sick. We'll talk more about vaccines in a later episode. So now that we know a little bit more about viruses, let's look at bacteria. So unlike viruses, bacteria are living organisms. And right away, you should notice that they look fairly different compared to the cells in our body. For starters, bacteria have a cell wall. This is a structure that provides support and protects the bacteria, and it's a structure that our cells do not have. Bacteria also have circular DNA, again, something that's different compared to our cells. Other bacteria are also capable of swimming in their environment, if they have this structure called the flagellum. Because bacteria are living organisms, they do not have to introduce their genetic material into a host in order to make new bacteria. All bacteria are capable of copying their own DNA and making new bacteria over and over again. But even though they're not injecting their DNA into our cells, they can still make us very sick. And they cause a lot of common illnesses. For example, they can cause strep throat, some types of pneumonia, and even food poisoning. Whew, sorry about that. But if they're not introducing their genetic information into our cells, why are they making us sick? Most bacteria copy themselves by cloning. This means they make an identical copy of themselves. Cloning allows one bacteria to become thousands in a matter of hours. Bacteria often also release harmful toxins, which help them do things like move, digest edible material, and so on. So, when a bacterium gets in your body, clones itself into thousands or even millions of bacteria and starts releasing toxins, you can start to imagine that you're going to get pretty sick. When this happens, your doctor can prescribe antibiotics. These medicines usually target something in the bacteria that is specific only to that type of bacteria. Say the cell wall or the proteins that help it survive. Maybe even the proteins that help it release those toxins that it uses. When this happens, the bacteria start to die en masse, which is usually why you start feeling better pretty quickly after taking antibiotics. But remember that cloning process that bacteria use to copy themselves? Well, sometimes it's not 100% accurate. When a bacteria copies itself and copies its DNA, sometimes errors can get introduced into the DNA. Oftentimes, those errors can actually be advantageous to the bacteria. Maybe it makes this bacteria a little bit stronger, and it can fight off the antibiotic for a little bit longer, for instance. So, even though you start to feel a lot better after taking your medications, it is super important to take your antibiotics for the full amount of time. Otherwise, that stronger bacteria is just going to copy itself, it's going to fight the antibiotic, and you're going to be sick again. Bummer. So, listen to your doctor. Take those meds. You know, now that we've been talking about this, I'm starting to feel a lot better. Maybe there really is something to that whole mind over matter thing. Or it could be this apple I'm eating. What they say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, thank you for joining me on this episode of Backyard Biology. Keep making those observations, keep asking questions, and I will see you next time.